Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. A lot of stuff took place during the weekend. I mean a lot. The cryptocurrency space is, I think, in disarray right now. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. Researchers have escalated their claims about market manipulation in the winter of 2017, now claiming that a single whale, one person, was responsible for Bitcoin's historic price surge. The development was reported by Bloomberg on the 4th of November. That's today. John M. Griffin and Amin Shams of the Universities of Texas and Ohio, respectively, have updated their previous research, which made the case that market misconduct was allegedly behind Bitcoin's bull run to an all-time high of $20,000. Griffin and Shams' analysis, first published in a research paper in June of 2018, argued that transaction patterns on the blockchain suggested that Tether had been used to provide price support and manipulate the Bitcoin market. They said, and I do quote, "Purchases with Tether are timed following market downturns and result in sizable increases in Bitcoin's price. The flow is attributable to one entity, clusters below round prices, induces asymmetric autocorrelations in Bitcoin, and suggests insufficient Tether reserves before month's end," end quote, rather than indicating demand from cash investors. They argued that these patterns aligned with a supply-based hypothesis of unbacked digital money inflating cryptocurrency prices. In an update to their previous research, the academics are intensifying their argument, which is said to be formally published in a forthcoming peer-reviewed paper for the Journal of Finance. They reportedly argue that an analysis of Tether and Bitcoin transactions from the 1st of 2017 in March to the 31st in March of 2018, an entire year later, consolidates their view that a single entity transacting via Tether's sister firm, crypto exchange Bitfinex, is behind the manipulation. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on as opposed to the allegedly stuff that's going on. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things that are currently taking place within the cryptocurrency world. There's also a bit more news about manipulation style things, but I'm going to give you what I think is transpiring within the cryptocurrency space. I've believed for a very long time that markets are manipulated. And before you get your stuff in a bunch, it's more so every single market is manipulated in some sort of way. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, the real estate market, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, copper, everything has its own form of manipulation. Humans, we can't stop manipulating things, regardless of what the actual thing might be. My mindset has been for a very long time, especially, I've been into crypto for a number of years. It's been around 6-7 years at this point, give or take. I want to say 5.5, 6 years. In the very beginning, I used to hear a lot of stories about where Bitcoin's price was going to go, how high Bitcoin was going to be, where the cryptocurrency market would be, how this was going to happen, how so and so and so. And I told you a couple of times, I have seen that a lot of these, and I don't want to call them prophecies. I want to call them like looks into the future have completely come true, whether they have been talks by Andreas Antonopoulos, whether they have been the creation of government currencies or government digital currencies done by companies like Facebook, other huge entities, what have you, so on and so forth. Another part of that altogether comes down to the fact that as other people, and in this instance, rich people, realize the future potential of where Bitcoin could go, not necessarily saying that it is going to go there, more of a this is now looking like a possibility. They're going to do what they can with their own power or their own reserves to make sure that they come out ahead. And that kind of comes down to the fact, too, once again, that I mentioned about a month ago. I said we are currently in the midst of a situation where Bitcoin looks like it can make it. It's no longer 2013. This is no longer a oh yeah, maybe, could be kind of, oh wow, that looks kind of cool. It's now like we know that governments are collecting Bitcoin. We know that governments are buying Bitcoin. We know that governments are associated in some sort of way with mining Bitcoin. We've seen governments talking about that they had to go to the International Monetary Fund to ask them if they could list Bitcoin bonds, i.e. bonds based off of the value of Bitcoin, which would also mean that the government themselves would have to collect Bitcoin. We know that the US government holds Bitcoin. We know that they did raids and all this other stuff a couple of years ago and have accumulated their own little stash and potentially, allegedly, who knows, maybe have more. What I think this is all leading up to and what this has led to is a very calculated manipulation of the entire cryptocurrency market. When I read around, when I gather my information, when I see exactly what's happening within the cryptocurrency space, when I see what has happened, where we're going, the news difference that we had in 2017 to the news that we had in 2018 to the news that we have right now, there has been almost no negative sentiment within the cryptocurrency space. The negative sentiments have come from crypto analysts who have noted on Twitter, on Reddit, on this place, on CNBC, that they think that prices could slip down further. Besides that, as far as the actual fundamentals, the people getting into the space, the people accumulating, the amount of people I see, when I was asking the other day in the comment section, I said, if you are buying cryptocurrencies daily, weekly, monthly, don't say the exact amount, just let me know. I saw hundreds of comments of people saying, yeah, I buy this much, I buy so-and-so, and so I get this much. I try to buy 1/10 of a Bitcoin every single month. People, and that's just in I don't have the largest YouTube channel in the entire world. Just imagine the other billions of people around the world who are also probably also buying up fractions as well. What I personally think, whether it be with Tether, whether it be with Paxos coin, whether it be with Tron, whether it be with any other coin, whatever the process that people are going through to be able to push Bitcoin's price back and forth, I think the manipulation is going to continue. I don't think there's a way around it, simply because, like I said, everything can be manipulated. If you look at certain real estate market prices around the world, a lot of this is so heavily inflated because the way that you do it is, and I'll give you an example. There's a country, I'm not going to name which one. You can try and find it if you can. They're undergoing what looks to be like an economic problem currently, maybe a recession. Nobody knows exactly what it is. There's a company that buys up real estate in mass, and they currently own, I think, 130,000 units alone in one city within that country. And what happens is that when one company buys up so much, they inflate the prices of everything else. Why? Because they've shortened the supply as much as possible. You can also do this the other way by selling off a huge amount and saying, well, we don't see this so and so and so going anywhere, and therefore property prices would fall because people would think that one of the largest entities within that space has also lost faith, and therefore I should lose faith, and therefore I should also be selling off. A lot of the price movements that we've seen just in the last couple of months have been odd. That's the only thing that I could say. Remember when I mentioned in 2018, I said, I don't care what analysts are saying. I don't care what this person and that person who has 55,000 followers on Twitter or 120,000 followers on this, and they're talking about the prices are going to go down. There's nothing, and I don't want to get into the entire discussion of what's it called? Technical analysis and this and that and so and so and so. The technical analysis is, or should be, based off of human sentiment of people within the cryptocurrency market. I've noticed, and I don't know exactly what this is, maybe it's just some type of a talk that I just can't get into. People mention Bitcoin as if it's a living, breathing entity. Bitcoin is going to go here. Bitcoin is showing this movement. Bitcoin is showing blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, Bitcoin's not alive. Bitcoin is a machine. Bitcoin is ruled and controlled by other people around the world, millions of people who are buying and selling, and that's the movement of where everything is going. Thus far, we've only seen positive sentiments within the cryptocurrency space. We just had news about 2 weeks ago that the current U.S. government went with the SEC and the CFTC in an effort to create Bitcoin futures to push Bitcoin's price down, as they saw, or rather they said, there was nothing to... it was only a positive market, and they needed something that would allow people to be negative and or short and or bet against the market. And this is why Bitcoin futures were allowed to be released to be able to push the price down, or rather to allow people who could potentially bet against the market to move their weight or show exactly what they were trying to do within the market. If you have a situation where, there's just so much to unpack. It's a government acknowledging the power of Bitcoin, how strong Bitcoin as an entity around the world could be, how big the market could become, how big the amount of people within the market are, and therefore they had to create something to be able to manipulate the market to push the prices down. It's just so many different facets of so many things. Regardless, we've had news of Tether since 2017. For those of you who have not been here since then, this is an age-old tale. This isn't something relatively new. This isn't something that we just started hearing about a couple of days ago. This is a very long topic that we've had for a very long time. I'm not sure if it's a witch hunt against Tether. At this point, I don't really care. I think the people who are actively manipulating the market, it's not just one entity. I assume it's at least 15 global players around the world who are either trying to destroy Bitcoin, push Bitcoin's price down so that it seems unattractive, push Bitcoin's price down so that it seems unattractive so that they can buy more, people who are trying to buy more, people who are accumulating in mass, people. It's a huge facet. It's not just one company, especially, and this is my opinion, Bitfinex or any other bit company within the cryptocurrency space. They're trying to make money. I don't think, especially with all of the regulation hubbub that we've had the last year, I hope that no one is foolish enough to try and do something like this while regulators are sniffing every single corner, almost cursed, sniffing all over the place, trying to see if there is any type of manipulation going on. What I think is actively happening is people are trying to, whales, if you will, like this thing right here, I don't know why there's a guy sitting on top of it, are actively, I know they are, actively trying to manipulate prices to do their bidding, to do their whim. If you think, keep this in mind as well. There was a podcast, and I spoke about it. I can't remember the name of it. They were saying, imagine a world where I'm pointing at you yourself, the person listening to this right now. Imagine you are the strongest country in the entire world. You rule and control everything. Everyone has to use your paper that you print and you cut and you hand it out to your neighbors. Imagine your neighbor across the hall goes, I don't want to use that anymore. I'm tired of using his paper. I keep getting paper cuts. I'm going to make my own paper, but I'm going to make it digital. And I'm going to start using it. And I'm going to start so and so and so. You go, well, why are you using that paper? I told you can only use this paper. Well, I'm tired of using your paper. Someone else down the hall goes, I'm also going to make a digital thing. I'm also going to make a so and so and so. And then somebody ends up creating something that everyone in the building starts using, but no one knows who created it. You, as the first country, you're going to be really upset, and you're going to go, I don't like that. The power that I had before, every single tenant in this building was doing exactly as I said, and now they're not anymore. This is all about power. This is all about money. This has nothing. People lose sight of the bigger picture. If someone in 2008, 2009 created something that could potentially be a reserve currency, not saying the reserve currency, that could take over the world, that other countries are actively around the world accumulating, talking about, we need to use this, we should be using this, we should be accumulating this. Other countries around the world are going to do everything that they can to try and knock it down, slam it down to the ground. It's happening both ways. People, for some reason, stay focused on the manipulation up. Well, why are prices so high? Prices should not be that high. Bitcoin's not worth that much. Why did Bitcoin hit 20,000? It must have been manipulation. Someone pushed that price up. Who pushed the price up? Why is the price up so high? No, it had to be them. They had to push the price up. People never talk about why the price gets pushed down. Why governments around the world are actively trying to either destroy Bitcoin, discredit Bitcoin, talk negatively about Bitcoin. Why are people using Bitcoin? Bitcoin's for criminals. Bitcoin's for drug users. Bitcoin's for so-and-so. No one ever hones in on that focus. It's always, why is the market being pushed up? Does anyone think that the market should be this high? No, the market shouldn't be this high. Banks are saying that it shouldn't be that high. Who says that it should be that high? They're saying that it should be that high. The drug users, the drug dealers, the drug so-and-sos, the people who do this, the people who do that, they're the ones using cryptocurrency. One company, of course, it had to just be one single company who issued one single stablecoin. It couldn't have been other people, millions of people around the world who were also buying up the cryptocurrency as the price was going up. No, it couldn't have been that. Why would it have been that? Manipulation's happening all over the place. I'm I think I'm done with this particular topic because it does continue on as we go forward. The point is, I don't think it was one single entity. I assume the Tether saga is going to continue for a very long time within the cryptocurrency space. Tether has a lot of backing. We saw, what was it before? There was one big news entity who had come out in support of Tether. I assume the money flows very strongly behind Tether at the moment. I don't think that they are going to disperse or disappear anytime soon. I mean, it really is what it is. Anyway, I'm fatigued on this topic. Let us move on. Next up, Ethereum is in the news. I told you this was a very interesting weekend. Ethereum has faced the dilemma of moving to proof of stake in the usual way by another delay of the mining ice age for the past 3 years. This is a very long situation. For the past 3 years, developers have voted several times to disable the difficulty time bomb so that miners could get some grace time to seek block rewards. The next likely delay of the difficulty time bomb will happen for the Berlin hard fork, which is scheduled for June 2020. The Istanbul hard fork, which is expected in December, will also go without the final drive to abandon mining. Charlie Lee said, and I'm shocked that he actually stood up for something. He said Ethereum's difficulty time bomb is like the US debt ceiling. It's a self-imposed rule that is supposed to force change, but is easily pushed back with zero penalty whenever it comes around. They should just get rid of this charade completely. The phasing out of mining is seen as an empty promise on the side of Ethereum's team, despite the network's problems based on the proof-of-work model and the congestions based on gas usage. Proof of stake for Ether will only be partial, and miners will remain important. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it was proposed a couple of years ago that Ethereum would implement something called the Ice Age. It also had another like cold snap. It had something difficulty time bomb. It's had a whole bunch of cold meanings, as people have said it. The idea was that as Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake, an ice age would happen on the network, and I think something about the mining difficulty would go up so high that people would be encouraged, I think, to move to the new chain, which would be based off of proof of stake, and then leave the old chain behind. I can't remember the exact specifics, but everything keeps getting pushed back, and I don't know why things keep getting pushed back. For those of you who don't know, I do hold Ether. I do like Ethereum. But we're at the point where, and we've been here for a while, it's time to put up or shut up. Ethereum was supposed to have moved to proof of stake in 2017. That was the proposal in 2016, that by 2017, we would have the at least beginnings, the droplets filling up the bucket of proof of stake. This was delayed in 2017. It said we were going to get it in 2018. It was delayed in 2018. End of 2018, we were supposed to have some other upgrades. It was also delayed. Plasma was delayed. For those of you who don't know, we are in 2019 right now. It's also almost over, and everything has once again been delayed. This is why I mentioned before in the other video, if Ethereum has not upgraded or started the upgrade process by December 2019, I can only hold on for so long. That's not to say that some point in the future, Ether or Ethereum won't be amazing, awesome, super fantastic, be their own mega awesome computer. A lot of the movements of the Ethereum team, this is just how I see it from the information that I've gathered, has been, and I won't use the word centralized. Things that happen seem to take place because of a group of people, a handful of people who say, this is going to happen. It's not really a, let's ask the entire network. Remember the thing that we were talking about a couple of days ago where Vitalik Buterin had asked the Twitterati, the people on Twitter, what they thought about the potential of being able to reverse transactions on the Ethereum network if another organization on the chain had been hacked or whatever. And everyone was like, no, that's a terrible idea. Why should anything be able to be reversed simply because one entity says so? Ethereum is coming to a very interesting crossroads, and I don't know how they're going to be able to handle it. Apparently it's a lot. Like there's so much. I should have actually split these into individual videos. There's so much happening within the cryptocurrency space, and it's gotten to the point where I feel myself, it's not a stagnation. It feels like, think of it this way, and I'm not going to name any specific events, nothing political, nothing along the way. Think of everything that's happened since 2016. It's a very important date, since 2016. Everything that's happened, whether it be in your life, politics, news, yada yada, cryptocurrency space, nothing has really taken place. Everything has been at a standstill. Nothing has actually moved forward since 2016. And I don't mean cryptocurrency prices. I mean upgrades. I mean updates. I mean this happening. I mean this being passed. I mean this being resolved. We're still stuck in 2016, and I'm not really sure why. Like, just think for a second. Even if you have to pause the video, think of everything that's happened since 2016. Nothing in our lives revolving around those things has been resolved in any way. And this is just, I don't know, maybe just, I had a discussion with me and my friends the other day, and we were all talking, it was like nothing has moved forward. The point is, it appears that the full transition for Ethereum to proof of stake may take even longer. We knew that there was going to be a hybrid. This is what the discussion had been. Listen, it kind of is what it is. At some point, one of my other friends who's deeply into cryptocurrencies, I know he doesn't listen to my videos. He also said at some point, people will just realize the BS. That was without cursing. You'll realize at some point, like I said, I like Ethereum. I used to adore Ethereum. I loved what they wanted to do. But at some point, things will come to light. This is what I always say with altcoins as well. We will realize at some point which coins are going to make it and which coins are just kind of there to say that they've been there, to say that they're going to do something, or to say that this was going to happen. Kind of is what it is. We'll see relatively soon. We have, what is it, 3, 4, 5, 6? We have about 5 or 6 weeks until this December 2019. I think it was the middle of December, when the Istanbul hard fork should be happening on the Ethereum chain without a delay, hopefully, where we should then see the beginnings, or that's the first entry into the door for Ethereum 2.0. If it gets delayed, if Istanbul gets delayed, swear to goodness, if it gets delayed into like March or something, and then Berlin gets delayed until December, throwing my hands in the air, you can only take so long and have too many promises, and then none of them get delivered. Something has to happen. Let's move on. Like I said, a crazy weekend. An entity called Bitmoin. There's an entity, and they're called Bitcoin Manipulation Abatement LLC, has accused FTX exchange of scheming to trigger liquidity cascades on Binance's Bitcoin futures cryptocurrency derivatives exchange. FTX has received a $150 million lawsuit for market manipulation and selling unlicensed securities in the United States. Uploaded to social media by End of Chain, there's a podcast, host Samuel McCulloch, on the 3rd of November. Sections of the lawsuit documents show FTX is accused of attacking Binance. The plaintiff, a mysterious entity known as Bitcoin Manipulation Abatement LLC, is demanding $150 million in exemplary and punitive charges. According to the plaintiff's lawyers, FTX used accounts to manipulate Binance's recently launched Bitcoin futures in mid-September. The document reads, and I do quote, defendants, and each of them were caught red-handed when, at about 21 o'clock EDT on the 15th of September 2019, and acting in furtherance of the manipulation or manipulative and deceptive scheme as alleged here and above, defendants, and each of them made 2 illicit, successful attempts to manipulate prices of Bitcoin futures listed on Binance's cryptocurrency futures exchange, end quote. Without going much further, or reading much further, what it appears to be is that, I'm not sure how closely linked Binance is to this lawsuit. But this is another crypto manipulation lawsuit. A lot of other exchanges have noted that when they've launched a derivative of Bitcoin, something derived from Bitcoin, their what's it called? Their volume on the exchange in one particular aspect or one particular area has skyrocketed, has gone up. There's a lot of interest, but they're noting that there's a lot of movement where people are trying to cause sell-offs in price, or people are pushing the price up and only to crash things back down. Not sure how, not the validity of this. This is all an accusation, obviously. However, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more lawsuits in the near future because I can only imagine myself how much manipulation is taking place that we're just not hearing about, that companies know about, or that companies are actively doing to try and knock down the cryptocurrency market. It's all quite fascinating, and I think the only hope that we have, and this is how it always happens, is 10 years after the event is when the books are written and the documentaries come out. So in about 10 years, we'll be discussing all of these things once again, and we'll finally get proper answers. But I assume behind the scenes, keeping in mind, once again, Bitcoin is floating around, 9,000 US? If Bitcoin has the potential to reach $1 million one day, if not maybe more, people will do whatever they can to either destroy it to keep the status quo or knock the prices down so that they can accumulate more. It's just how things are. We're getting a lot of the market's going to do very well news. I think in my last video or the video before that, I think I had like a cluster of things where we are seeing once again, and I don't think it's a renewed interest in the market. I think the market has always had this renewed interest. I like that we are getting news about governments actively trying to push down the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in an effort to either keep things the way they are or to accumulate more. I don't really care what it is, to be honest. What we're seeing now is a number of articles popping back up talking about that the cryptocurrency market is going to surge once again. It could be because we're almost towards the end of the year. Typically, the end of the year has been a very good time for the crypto markets, usually November, December. Historically, this is why, remember last year, November, December, everyone was like, okay, here we go, because historically, these have been very good months, and the price jump of 2017 also took place, I think, around the middle of November until the end of December. For those of you who are not looking at the screen, I'm going to just read through them. It says Bitcoin price to surge back above 10,000 in the coming weeks. It says as Bitcoin price consolidates, Litecoin looks ripe for massive gains. This one says Ethereum enters buy zone as analysts expect ETH price boom. We also had news last week about an analyst talking about that he thinks that XRP is also going to jump up very soon, keeping in mind a lot of the, whether it be technical analysis, other analysis, Google analysis, Twitter analysis, like the people what's the word? Run through Twitter and run through Google to look at the amount of people who are Googling these terms or hashtagging these terms. The sentiment is at an all-time high. People are definitely in the cryptocurrency space. People are buying. However, prices just aren't moving. I was actually going right into this. Okay, continue on. It says, analyst says, bearish bias makes no sense. Bitcoin price looks strong. This one is saying, institutions accrue Bitcoin long positions as price looks to break past 9,300. I was listening to a podcast and I remembered finally what it was. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is not an endorsement. I don't know these guys. It's called Crypto 101. And it is episode 14, not 13, that is on the screen. For some reason, they have not uploaded their most recent podcast to their own website. Not really sure why. It's Crypto 101, episode 14. They were discussing the actual movements within the cryptocurrency space, and it came down to the fact that analysis wise, there's nothing really negative in the market. The negative news that we are getting is usually always from governments, always from banks, or from institutions saying that they think that Bitcoin's price is too high, that they believe that Bitcoin has no reason to be around, whether that be Warren Buffett, Jamie Dimon, any of the other millions of people. It's not actually millions, it's like 35 super rich people who keep talking out against cryptocurrencies, that they all believe that Bitcoin's price is too high. Why is Bitcoin's price so high? Who's using this asset? Who's gobbling up all of these coins and putting them in mountains? No one. No one's doing any of that, but we know that they are. That's the ridiculous point. If you get a chance, listen to this. They were discussing, so one of the guys, I don't know who, I was listening to their voices, they were talking about the recent endorsement of blockchain by Xi Jinping, the president of China. And one of them said, I think he works in banking or something like that. I can't remember the exact words he used, but he said people were contacting him from China, asking him how to buy up entire buy walls. He was like, what? And it was like, people were asking, what platform should I use? Where should I go so that I can buy entire buy orders without it really affecting the market? People are buying up cryptocurrencies so heavily. And I think, my opinion, what's holding the market back are probably very few, I would say a handful of very rich Bitcoin holders who have been in the market for a long time, who got in very, very early, like a Winklevoss style thing. 200, 300, 400,000 Bitcoin, that's my opinion, how I feel. And they are the reason why we've had news before. Someone moved 58,000 Bitcoin. Why did they move it? The market's going down. Someone put in remember in 2018, remember this? When people were putting in on other trading platforms, cryptocurrency exchanges, they were putting in sell orders for like 19,000 Bitcoin. Not per Bitcoin, 18,000 Bitcoin, putting in sell orders that could never actually be filled. They were putting in sell orders for ridiculous prices, but what ended up happening was that people saw these sell orders for really weird prices, and people like, oh my gosh, we have to sell. And other people started selling off their coins in an effort to try and beat out the rich people who knew that something was coming. And the moment the price started tanking, that sell order from that 18,000 disappeared, and all of a sudden a buy order entered the market that bought up all of those coins that were then sold off. There's very little, and I check the trends for my channel as well sometimes. There's no real negative or bearish sentiment within the market. This is why I noted before that whenever I see, we can have negative days, we can have so and so, but when I see a lot of people who claim to have been within the cryptocurrency space for a number of years, or say that they are Bitcoin maximalists, or that they're Bitcoin so-and-so, or that they're crypto so-and-so, or crypto hodlers, and they keep mimicking the same thing that they said, pay attention to how people talk about the cryptocurrency market. I don't think that everyone in the cryptocurrency space is as for crypto as they say they are. That's not a tinfoil hat moment. It's just being real. We have situations like that in the world right now where people can say that they're pro something and they're really not pro something at all. I don't understand why you would be pro Bitcoin and think for the last year that Bitcoin's price isn't worth it, or that Bitcoin's price is going to go down. Remember all the news that we had before? That Bitcoin was going down to 800, Bitcoin was going to 900, Bitcoin was going to 1500, Bitcoin was going down to, it was just all these really weird numbers. And I'm like, you keep telling everyone that you're long Bitcoin, but for the last year and a half, you keep spouting nonsense that the cryptocurrency market is going to go down. As far as usage, as far as sentiment, as far as goodness, everything looks great. I comb through the news every day, every morning, when I have nothing to do, when I'm not watching ridiculous videos on YouTube. You know what I'm doing? I'm reading cryptocurrency news. all day, every day. It's become an obsession. I can't really help it. I think it's just who I am at this point. It's permeated into my system. There's never any real negative news. The news that we get that's negative, that a whale has moved money, everyone panic. This chart looks bad, everyone panic. Oh my gosh, the new one that I'm seeing, and I like that they finally caught up as well. Kudos to you for putting fear into the market about 2 years late. The new one that I'm seeing, and I'm going to try and compile a like a compilation of all the things that I've seen. A lot of cryptocurrency websites, especially those who are very pro Bitcoin or pro Ether or pro anything that's not XRP, is the news headlines. How does it read? It's always like Ripple dumps another 1 billion XRP into the market. How much lower can the price go? Ripple has released another 1 billion XRP from escrow. Are they trying to destroy the price of XRP? That's why I said I'm glad that they caught up. For those of you who don't know, the Ripple Association, the Ripple Foundation, the company Ripple, whatever you want to call them, Ripple Labs, they're in large possession of a large amount of XRP that was gifted to them. What happened was in 2016-17, people were like, there are far too many XRP floating around. We don't know if you, the company, are going to dump them on us at some time. If the price goes up to $15 and you go, okay, bam, that's it, cool, we're rich and you're not. The company said, okay, we'll lock the coins that we have up in a 60-month escrow for 5 years, rotating escrow. They said every month, 1 billion XRP will be released, and any XRP that we haven't used will go back into a brand new escrow, and we won't be able to access those other coins that we just locked back up for another 60 months. It's rotating. It's continuing. There's no, at this point, there's no estimation as to when this escrow is going to end. That's as it's been going on for a number of years now. We can only assume it's going to continue as time goes along. But the news articles make sure to note that Ripple, the company, has released 1 billion XRP. The way that the articles are written is that the company itself has said, no, we got to dump the coins. And they go to this huge vault and they spin the huge wheel. You all know that big metal wheel. I'm moving my hands in the same way. And they open it up and they go, release that into the public. Let's drop the price of XRP. It's kind of ridiculous, but I've seen it pop up more and more. You know what's also really interesting that I noticed? I saw 2 analysts who hated XRP start mentioning that potentially in the future XRP could maybe be seen as a not a store of value. What's the word? Yeah, I guess a store of value. Whatever the whole thing is for Bitcoin, as far as like being a reserve currency, that's what it was. That XRP could potentially, maybe, based off of market movements, be a reserve currency in the future. And I think that drove other people mad. I think it made them completely insane. And this is why we're seeing this once again. You can hate all you want. In 5 years, if you're correct and XRP is less than 1 cent, I'll give you a golf clap. If it's not, please go on about your life. Anyway, the point is, the market sentiment is very strong. I believe that anything that we see being pushed into the market right now to make negativity is an effort by someone or something to make you, your friends, your family, anyone else who's in the market have negative sentiment and want to sell off. Once again, this is just how I feel. The market's doing well. And you know what I even wonder? The things that have been put in place to bet against the market, futures, anything else where you can short the market, I wonder where the cryptocurrency space would be if we only had positive sentiment in the market. The idea is that you need negative sentiment. You need people to be able to bet against it. So saith the governments. And this is where we end up. Anyway, on that, let's move on. Binance is delisting 5 trading pairs from their platform. The exchange says it wants to improve liquidity in specific crypto assets and make the whole trading experience much more efficient. According to a recent announcement by Binance, they informed the community that 5 trading pairs will be removed from their platform. The trading pairs will be Atom, ATOM, to Pax, BTS to Binance Coin, CVC to Binance Coin, Ethereum Classic to Paxos, and Augur from BNB. The official announcement explains that they want to improve liquidity and user trading experience among their wide range of available assets. These trading pairs were removed from the exchange on the 1st of November, almost at October. 3 of the pairs were related to Binance Coin, the cryptocurrency created by the exchange and has expanded all over the market due to the last 5 years. We're seeing a lot of coins that don't have, and it's interesting. We're seeing coins that already don't have high liquidity being removed from trading pairs, which gives them even less liquidity. But I mean, to be fair, there are a number of coins, I'm not going to name any, you've seen them yourself, you may even hold some of them, that have horrible 24-hour trading volumes. It may be around 3 million. I think anything above 1 million consistently is relatively healthy, especially for being an altcoin, whatever numbers they might be. But a lot of coins are being delisted. I think things are being fine-tuned, if you will. I think we're going to get back to a situation very soon on many different cryptocurrency exchanges, maybe even just on Binance, as we're focusing on Binance, where we're going to see many coins simply tied to Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Binance Coin, and maybe Pax Coin. I think a lot of the other, we were hopeful in 2017 that the market would have, that many altcoins would have been larger than they are right now, and therefore they could have also been seen as trading pairs. We had a couple of them who lasted for a bit. A lot of them did not hold. A lot of these things have completely fumbled. Anyway, those are the 5 trading delistings that Binance is doing or has already done. And to finish things off, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin are not real money, according to a statement published by the German Federal Parliament on the 28th of October. Per the announcement, the assets offered by the cryptocurrency landscape, such as Bitcoin, provide only a very limited portion of the features expected of a traditional money. The statement, titled "Crypto Tokens Are Not Real Money," okay, I got it, is based on an answer provided by the German federal government to a question from the Free Democratic Party parliamentary group. The answer provided defines the basic features of money as the following: exchange and means of payment, store of value, and unit of account. The announcement points out that the volume of payments carried out using crypto is limited when compared to fiat currencies. For those of you who weren't here about 5 videos ago, we had news that since Bitcoin's inception, Bitcoin has transacted over 12 trillion, that's with the T, US dollars worth of value. In 2018 alone, Bitcoin transacted $1 trillion worth of value in 1 year. The same exact time, PayPal did 250 billion, which means Bitcoin alone did 4 times what PayPal did. Moreover, the author of the statement also claims that the fluctuations reported by the value render crypto tokens unsuitable to be a store of value. The answer provided by the government states that stablecoins attempt to solve the issues carried by excessive price fluctuation. Still, the government explains that it intends to forbid their adoption. They said it will be ensured that stablecoins do not establish themselves as an alternative to state currencies and thus call into question the existing monetary system. So this is, what's the word? This is part of the fight against cryptocurrencies. I already myself don't care for stablecoins. Stablecoins are always created by companies who are just trying to mimic fiat in a way to be able to get into the cryptocurrency space to get people to use their coins. Years ago, for those of you who don't know, the fluctuations in the cryptocurrency market were insane. Why? Because we didn't have stablecoins. We could actually see actual price movements and sentiment of the cryptocurrency market. If Bitcoin was having a bad day, altcoins would shoot up because all the money from Bitcoin would flow into altcoins. If altcoins were having a bad week, they would slam down, and we would see these numbers because we knew exactly which coins were pushing into what. Now a lot of it is slowed down a huge amount because stable coins are a means or a way, so they say, for people to be able to not have to worry about the fluctuations and put their money simply into stablecoins to avoid any mishaps within the cryptocurrency market. What have you. Governments don't like cryptocurrencies, and governments do not like stablecoins. Why do they not like stablecoins? Because they did not create them. Have no doubt that when the Euro coin comes out, when the US dollar coin comes out, when Canada coin does come out, these are also going to be stable coins. They are going to be based off of the price of the paper asset that they are trying to mimic. What it is that governments, once again, were too late to the ball and didn't create it themselves. And they're trying to make sure, this is why this all leads to Libra. I think it was Germany, France, the UK, fourth country, fifth country, who had announced that they don't like Libra, and they're going to make sure that it'll never be considered currency within their country. I always wonder how history will see these people. Like, in what light? And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's more so when you look at the actions of government policies from like 1900, 1904, 1916, 1930s, blah, 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 so on and so forth. You can look back and say, wow, that person, they didn't think right. Something was completely off with them. I wonder what we will say about governments and institutions who weren't early adopters of cryptocurrency. If Bitcoin does maybe potentially one day in the future become a reserve currency, if Bitcoin ends up hitting $100 million, air quotes, possibly situation, I wonder what people from these governments will say about their government. Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you let us get into it? Why did you tell us that we couldn't use this? Why did you tell us it was banned? Why did you tell us we were restricted from it? I wonder what madness that will cause with governments just trying to protect themselves. Once again, that's just, I like to dream about the future. A lot of my dreams about the future are completely out there. However, it's stuff that I like to think of every now and again. This is not the first time that we've seen a government publish something like this or announce that cryptocurrencies are not a store of value, are no threat to the government, are not this, not a store of value, not a unit of account. It goes on, so on and so forth. I think what we're seeing is the correlation of governments trying to get people to know that crypto is legal, but they shouldn't be using it, that they shouldn't be touching it, that it's not for them. Pay attention to our money, pay attention to our paper. This is what we made. Ours makes sense because we printed it. We put ink on it. You use it, and therefore it makes sense to you. I have so much to say. It's just so much flowing through my head about all of these different things, and I would not be not confused. I would not be surprised if this also has to do with the not the IMF. What are they called? The CTFC? No. There's just so many letters. The organization who announced that every country in the world and every cryptocurrency exchange would have to follow by their rules. I wouldn't be shocked if this is also based off of what they've been saying as well. We'll see. We'll see in about 10 years if crypto to them is real money. None of these countries are going to ban it. Oh gosh, whatever. I'm trying not to yeah. We'll see. It is expected, oh my gosh, it's already November. It's expected that November is going to be the time when China finally releases their coin. It's expected in November. This is why we saw the last week a huge uptick in the amount of China articles, because they're apparently getting ready for something. Next year will be Bitcoin's halving, potentially Ethereum's upgrade. It'll also be when Libra is supposed to be launched, and I assume another country will also come forward announcing that they're also creating their own digital currency. Governments are interesting, and I assume we're going to see this trend continuing, where governments are announcing that cryptocurrencies are not real money in a bid to... I know they're creating their own. It's so obvious at this point. Why would you... If these things weren't a threat to you, why would you mention them? Like, do I talk about cucumbers? Do I like walk down the street and I'm like, I hate aubergine? Like, have you guys seen aubergine? We should, no. I'm going to make a letter that tells everyone, don't buy cucumbers. They're evil. Why do I care? Well, like, what basis do they have on my life? We are so close to a new world, and I can feel it. When a government has to say openly that a digital token that they think has no value, when a government has to say that they are going to make sure that stablecoins do not establish themselves, I thought last year, and I still think this way, that stablecoins in some sort of way would be used as an alternative to fiat, to normal money. I assumed at some point people would simply start transacting amongst themselves or their friends, and this is when we started to see the beginning of the creation of the Telegram coin and what's the other one? Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. The other one, first of all, both of them have received subpoenas from the SEC to stop. Is because these things were going to be used as opposed to using the US dollar. Think of how deep this runs. There were multiple social media platforms, Telegram, Facebook. What is the name of the other one that's going to drive me absolutely insane? Kick. And I think two other platforms as well, they've been squashed by the SEC. They were going to create tokens that had value based off of their platform, that you and your friends could have transacted in, and you would never had to even touch the US dollar. You never had to touch the euro. You never had to touch the yen. You never had to touch the pound. Do you understand that we have figured out ways to create value and create money outside of the gaze of governments, and this terrifies them? Why would they care so much about a stable coin? Why did the SEC give subpoenas to companies who are going to create coins, just tokens, billions and billions of tokens on their platforms that you and your friends could have sent back and forth? Why was there a huge congressional hearing about 4 or 5 times about Facebook creating their own coin? Because we figured out as a society, this is what Andreas Antonopoulos said. If you've never heard this man speak, please do. He mentioned years ago, he said, in no uncertain words, that the cat is out of the box and you can't push it back inside. We've figured out, one person or a team, Satoshi, figured out how to create a decentralized cryptocurrency. The same exact time as the years went on, 350 other people also figured out exactly how to make their own. This is why we have altcoins. The same exact time as time has moved on, tens of thousands of other people now know how to code and create their own coins. You can't stop it. He said, even if Bitcoin doesn't succeed, even if the entire cryptocurrency market is wiped out, this trend is going to continue. People will still make their own coins. People will still make this. People will also find a way to transact value outside of the view of governments, and it terrifies them. They don't know what to do. They took too long to realize that Bitcoin was a problem, and the way that they think that they can control it is by simply pushing the price down or telling people you should not be in it, pay attention to our money instead. There was an article that I just read. I can't remember where, it was a couple days ago. It said, the one thing that governments keep forgetting is that Bitcoin is more than money. Governments think that Bitcoin is only the numbers that you see on this screen. People only think that Bitcoin only has a value. They don't understand that Bitcoin is also deflationary. This is something that they also haven't gotten there yet. They don't get what that deflationary property does in comparison to fiat currencies. They haven't yet come to the conclusion that during the next 2 halvings, by the year 2028, Bitcoin will produce less coins than the inflation rate will be lower than anything that we've ever seen in the history of mankind. Period. Punct. End of it. As Bitcoin goes further, as more people around the world have economic problems, economic uncertainty, government upheavals, and they start using more Bitcoin, start transacting more in these cryptocurrencies amongst themselves, as the reward continues to get cut in half, as more rich people continue to buy, as you, your friends and family, continue to buy. You buy fragments of it. You buy pieces for your friends. You buy pieces for your family. You buy this, you buy that, so and so and so. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin. And governments have not gotten there yet. They think it's a trend. They think it's going to end. They think that as long as they create their coins first, you'll pay attention to their coins and you won't see a value in anything else. Not realizing that because of the websites that we have where we can see cryptocurrency prices, we can see Bitcoin's price movements over the last 10 years against the US dollar, and Bitcoin keeps winning. We can see Bitcoin's price compared to the euro, and Bitcoin is up over 1,000,000% since it was first created. When these governments create their own digital coins, their own digital tokens, we will be able to see the deflationary power against an inflationary currency of Bitcoin compared to theirs, and we're going to see the value of Bitcoin rise in comparison to inflationary currencies. It's going to happen, and governments don't understand this. They think that Bitcoin is just a number and that they can convince you to stop using it, or tell you that you should not be using it, or to forbid their adoption simply because they're used to scaring everyone. They're used to telling you you can't do it and you don't do it. That's not how things work anymore. We figured out how to make money. We figured out what real value is, and it's spreading across the world like wildfire. There's a reason why last year, remember all the news that we had? Sorry if I'm getting too riled up. Remember the news that we had last year of the people in Venezuela and the people in Zimbabwe and the people in Turkey, as all this economic and political turmoil is going on local Bitcoins, the volume spiked. It went up 30, 40, 50% from the next day after we had news that was happening. And then what happened in these countries? Do you remember about a week later? The governments banned local Bitcoins. They know exactly what's going on. They see that people are trying to find a new way to transact value. This is why we had the news last year as well. We have tons of analysts out there who are analyzing the market. They're doing the whole thing that Plan B is doing, and they have this graph and they have this so-and-so, and they all come to the same conclusion. If we continue on this trend line, just where we are right now, just with the people currently in the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin is going to hit $50,000. The article that we had before is that once Bitcoin hits $50,000 and has $1 trillion market cap, it starts to become a threat to the US dollar. What happens when Bitcoin hits $250,000 per coin? It is then a complete threat to the US dollar because it will have stronger properties than the US dollar. What happens when Bitcoin hits $1 million? It's a complete store of value. It has a multi-trillion dollar market cap. What happens when Bitcoin's reward keeps getting cut in half? The inflation rate of Bitcoin almost becomes non-existent. We talk a lot about Bitcoin's inflation rate cutting in 2020, which I'm so excited about, in 2024 and 2028. What about 2032, 2036, and 2040? Think of how low it's going to be. Bitcoin is going to be... We're going to tell stories to our kids and to our grandkids of these moments and of the struggles that we had, and the price is going so low. And you're gonna tell your kids the moments when you bought Bitcoin at $7,000, and their eyes will pop out of their heads because they won't be able to fathom that Bitcoin was that low. Even all the other trend lines that we see on all the other graphs for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the market, we're still on these trend lines. We have not broken the upward movement trend line, regardless of how many crashes that anyone or whale or governments or blah, blah, blah have tried to push the market down. We are still on that trend line. We are still going to have world leaders and economic policies that are garbage, that are going to continue to cause other people to look for an alternative way to send value around the world to their friends and to their families. How many countries around the world have banned Bitcoin, and we can still see the graphs from these countries on local Bitcoins or any other local thing that people are now just downloading and using on their phone? We live in the future. This is it. We've made it. We're finally here. I'm extremely out of breath. It's so fascinating, the times that we live in, where we're going. I was discussing one final thought with one of my closest friends. He knows who he is. Hello to you. The future and where cryptocurrencies are going and where Bitcoin is going and how the world is going to shape itself. And it's just so exciting. There's no other way to say it. I still believe before I put that a huge cherry on top of the cake or the ice cream cone, whatever people put a cherry on. I expect the world in the next 20 years to be terrible. I think the wealth disparity that we see right now is not going to fix itself. I think the world is going to have a huge chasm between the haves and the have-nothings. I don't think there's going to be anywhere in between. This is just how I see the future developing. And one of the only ways that I see out of this is cryptocurrency. This is how I personally feel. This is how a number of my friends feel as well. The conclusion that we've come to, and this is why we think that everything like this is happening. If you get a chance, find an article. It's called The Rich Are Planning to Leave Us Behind. Find that, and it's very interesting. It's about a guy, I think he does like conferences, and he talks before universities and stuff like that. And he said he got a letter, an email, something one day asking him to hold a chat, hold a discussion. He said, sure. He ended up going to this place and realized that he wasn't holding a discussion. He was there to talk to billionaires about the future and where the world is going. It's called The Rich Are Planning to Leave Us Behind. Please find it. It will change your day, and it'll change your view as to where everything is going. Without further ado, from this topic, let's move on. As always, an enormously gigantic, momentous thank you to all my Patreon supporters: Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohair Maroney, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Woody and Daisy, Triple M and J, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Mail Louise, Mechanic, Strange Radio Central, Crypto Artist Cold E3D, Cryptopolis, Nicholas, One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich the Third, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Chest Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. Yes, to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, and we have a new Patreon supporter. I can't say the name, so I'm trying to figure out what to say. First of all, thank you for your new support. I will contact you so we can discuss a new name for you, because that name cannot be said on this channel. It can't. And you knew that too. Anyway, at the moment, the prices are relatively the same from where they were during the weekend. We were around 9,300 for Bitcoin. Analysts and charts were saying that Bitcoin needed to pass by or go towards 9,500 to show the continuation of a bullish sentiment in the market. I think that's a load of mess. I think people are pushing down the price of Bitcoin on purpose. This is just how I feel about the current market. Nothing is really extremely down or up, except for maybe a couple of really rare coins, what have you. This happens in the market a lot. People know how to pump things. If people know how to pump and lower Bitcoin, you'd better believe they know how to pump something that only has a couple $1 million worth of volume. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all understand what's taking place everywhere in the world right now. This isn't a one-time thing. We are seeing attacks from both sides, from all over the place, and we are going to get to a situation, or rather we're in the situation, where we will have to decide between government money, institutional money, meaning like social media money, and decentralized money. We are already here. Stake your claim, choose your side, because in the next 2 years, it's going to get a lot more ridiculous. We have countries now talking about launching their own digital coins this month. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I sincerely do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all, every single one of you, once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.